After a 25 minutes delay, we embarked on a plane from Bucharest with a destination London. As usual, while waiting for every passenger to be seated, I checked my phone. In the meantime, the flight attendants asked for 5 minutes of attention for the safety features on board. Although being a regular traveler and assuming to know the narrative by heart, I left my phone aside. Two things came as a surprise. One, due to the delay, the discourse was of a rapidity that created a sense of confusion and raised my levels of anxiety. Two, I was one of the few young passengers to pay attention to the people that were teaching me a life lesson instead of spending a couple more minutes on social media. This common scenario of our present time has become an under-considered issue that raises serious questions about the capacities of the modern human being. The most concerning aspect is that it does not apply solely to air travel, but we see this behavior in many situations when our attention can prove vital. To what extent can we let digital technologies intrude and reshape our modes of experiencing the world? Are we able to acknowledge the degradation of attention and take action against it by switching to airplane mode? It is undeniable that the evolution of mankind is interlinked with technological progress. Throughout history, new forms of media have made information more accessible, better laid out, and easier to store. However, the development of communication mediums has not only facilitated literacy and interpersonal connections, but it completely impacted the way people see the world. As we emerged in present times, digital technologies have gained a greater meaning than that of simple tools. Unconsciously, we have embedded them in all dimensions of our existence without taking into consideration how much they alter our lifestyle, social relationships, individuality, and cognitive abilities. Media analysts and contemporary thinkers have been reporting on humanity's relationship with technology, but only more recently has the attention economy been in the spotlight. Tristan Harris, former Google design ethicist, described the apparatus of attentional capture like this.
I want you to imagine walking into a room, control room with a bunch of people, 100 people hunched over at desks with little dials, and that control room will shape the thoughts and feelings of 1 billion people. This might sound like science fiction, but this actually exists right now, today.
He is also featured in Netflix's film documentary The Social Dilemma, which examines the consequences of social media addiction alongside the capitalist interest of its creators. 2 centuries ago, Karl Marx defined the history of society as a result of class struggle. He gave a thorough critique of the rise of modern capitalists who devalue human qualities in favor of material wealth. One of the principles that capitalism functions on is the constant revolutionizing of production, which leads to an unstable, decentralized, and high-paced society governed by who owns the means of production. Following this line of thought, Zygmunt Bauman coined the phrase liquid modernity and pointed out the main characteristics of the present times. Society is expected to be flexible in order to flourish, to accept and to adapt to new configurations meant to ease aspects of our existence. With the advent of transportation and communication means, humanity is no longer governed by the flux of time and the limits of space. However, for the instant gratification digital technologies offer, we exchange human values. All human activities have been exploited and commodified, even sleeping. If the goal of capitalism is uninterrupted disturbance of social conditions, then a concept of non-time like the 24/7 cycle becomes an adequate temporality. Often overlooked is how the relentless technological developments have changed the status of sleep. From the moment we wake up, our eyes are exposed to an abundance of images. The naturalization of digital devices have made individuals fear they might fall behind if they do not adapt to what is being created. And, nonetheless, the obscurity with which means of communications are controlled and shaped in accordance with basic social needs is rarely called into question by the ordinary user. When almost all aspects of our lives are compressed into one piece of technology, it becomes futile to pay attention to what is happening beyond the screen. This leads to the idea that attention has become a kind of capital. The hyperactive environment is chained to a hyper-attention economy that sustains it. With an information overload, the quality of what we're taking in reduces. The multitude of sensorial stimuli that make up the facade of a social media website keeps the user caught in an inescapable vertigo. The way information is consumed, shared, and reproduced grows the value of attention as it becomes a scarce element in a routinized and defocused society. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines attention as the act or state of applying the mind to something. From this perspective, an attentive state of mind becomes a catalyst for capitalistic objectives. In terms of the kind of attention newer generations tend to adopt, research has found that in a media-saturated environment, hyperattention is the most suitable cognitive mode. Therefore, it is important to look at the structure of digital technologies because it has a major impact on the levels of stimulation and it determines how information is perceived. Henry Jenkins has been interested in the media convergence phenomena and the effects it has on the mind and behavior of people. To exemplify how the mind travels online, he writes, "A teenager doing homework may juggle 4 or 5 windows, scan the web, listen to and download MP3 files, chat with friends, word process a paper, and respond to email, shifting rapidly among tasks, all of this worldwide via the internet." In addition to the conglomerate of activities the internet offers, these platforms appeal to their users by constantly adjusting content and pushing distractions to keep the mind in an overly active state. Advertisements, widgets, and tracking cookies exploit tastes and prolong the time one is willing to surf the web. What is a source of information is at the same time a commercial space and an amusement arcade. Never has there been a medium like that, like the net, has been programmed to so widely scatter our attention and to do it so insistently, states Nicholas Carr, a strong technological determinist, in his book The Shallows, What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains. With all of this in mind, what can be said is that the world is suffering from attention anemia. Attention is an essential vitamin for the development of the brain. Since socializing is one of the existential needs, being part of a community, wanting to know the latest news, and making our voice heard are common instincts. Media technologies appear to offer the complete kit to satisfy these needs, hence, they are fully incorporated in the lives of people. However, the brain is supplemented with ineffective pills. When users go online, they are exchanging time and focus with fragmented data. There is a worrying inability to distinguish between deep attention and hyperattention by assuming the quantity of information accumulated is the ultimate goal. This popular misconception needs to be put to an end. Attention anemia might appear harmless in the short term, but this type of ignorance can lead to a global loss of a core value. What we need to do is to take a critical step back and ask ourselves what is natural and what has been fabricated to appear natural. Accepting the addictive quality of social media needs to be followed by a refusal of the intrinsic distractions when attention is needed. We cannot imagine a future without smart gadgets, but we can imagine a world in which people have the power to choose when, for how long, and why they utilize the conveniences. Are you ready to switch on airplane mode?